Joining us now on the show, we have DOJ spokesperson, Atty. Polo Martinez. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen. Good morning to the viewers.
Okay, so you have subpoenaed several DPWH engineers, Henry Alcantara, Bryce Hernandez, RJ Domasig, and JP Mendoza. Sila lang ba yung part of that list? And what is the scope of the 5 flood control projects?
Okay, so it's a long list of respondents pertaining to 5 ghost projects in Bulacan.
All in Bulacan?
All in Bulacan, at least for these 5 cases, no, that were referred back to the DOJ by the Ombudsman.
So these are all involving the ghost flood control projects, or not necessarily?
So these are all involving, that's correct, all ghost projects in Bulacan specifically. That's 3 in Balagtas, 2 in Pandit.
So isabihin, pag sinabing ghost, wala talagang kahit ano?
Yes, wala.
But how about the other projects na nilagyan ng patong? I mean, is that part of the subpoena also?
So no. The answer is no, because the subpoenas were issued with respect only to the 5 cases. So again, Bulacan lang to. This is not to say that the other cases are not being pursued, because you have to remember that cases are also pending with the Office of the Ombudsman. So there's a separate from the investigation which is being conducted by the DOJ. Kasi both investigatory bodies, investigation bodies ang DOJ and Ombudsman with respect to crimes to be prosecuted.
And what is under the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman here, kung may hatian kayo?
So generally, the Ombudsman, yung jurisdiction niya, are with respect to cases involving government officials with a salary grade of 27 or higher. Okay, so yun yung distinction between what falls under them to prosecute and what falls under us as the DOJ.
Okay. I do remember that these ghost flood control projects, because the other projects that you have not included are linked to lawmakers. These ones were masterminded by the DPWH engineers? I get it right?
No, it's premature to say that it was masterminded by the DPWH officials. What we're saying is that with respect to yung pag-prosecute namin ng crimes, insofar as the personalities, who are the personalities involved, ang kasama dyan would be salary grade 27 or below salary grade 27. Because yun naman yung jurisdiction namin to prosecute or to investigate and then prosecute. So yun yung difference between the Ombudsman jurisdiction and ours.
Okay, the lower officials.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, is appearance required with these subpoenas?
Yes, of course. You're being subpoenaed to appear before the prosecutors for purposes of preliminary investigation.
What if they send a representative?
Well, you would have to file your counter affidavit kasi yung kontra salaysay mo in any criminal investigation proceeding. And yung salaysay na yun, yung kontra salaysay or counter affidavit, has to necessarily be subscribed before the handling prosecutors. So that entails personal appearance. Haharap ka talaga to swear and to subscribe to your affidavit. Without which, then walang value. Because, of course, that's a way of authenticating that it was really you who executed the affidavit. Ikaw talaga yung who drafted it, who wrote, whose statements were made there, and that you were not coerced, and that you did not lie when you made that affidavit. So all that has to be done through subscription before the handling prosecutor personally.
Why only these 4 engineers?
So no, we're not saying na yun lang yung 4, just those 4 for now. And with respect only to these 5 cases.
Okay.
I think we have to disabuse the people's minds na ito na yun. Okay, this does not preclude further investigation to other projects.
This is the start.
The start, of course. Yes, that's exactly right. The start, perhaps a starting point for the rest. Kasi the investigation being conducted for the rest may depend also on what evidence is available here, diba? Or what results are derived from these investigations. Okay, so
and what evidence triggered these subpoenas in these cases? Is it their testimonies at the congressional hearings?
So generally speaking, it's everything that was submitted before the panel of prosecutors. That's their testimonies, the contents of their testimonies with respect to, for example, how funds were being misappropriated or diverted, how funds were being misallocated within the whole scheme of the flood control issue. So we can't pinpoint what specific evidence, because it's always a totality, an understanding and assessment of the totality and circumstances of what was presented and submitted.
So we can't given the jurisdiction of the DOJ here and the Office of the Ombudsman, we can't expect for the DOJ to subpoena our lawmakers because that falls under the Office of the Ombudsman. Is that correct? Do I get that right?
So not exactly, kasi we still have subpoena powers to subpoena witnesses or would-be respondents kahit na salary grade 27, insofar as they pertain to the investigation being conducted on our level. Okay, sabihin natin na their witnesses, their testimony may be material, they could still be subpoenaed pursuant to our investigation. Pero pagdating when it comes time to prosecute them, that will be under the Ombudsman's jurisdiction.
Because that's what the public is asking. No? Bakit DPWH lamang yung nandito sa subpoena list? Why isn't, for example, Zaldico, Congressman Zaldico, included in that list when his name has been mentioned several times?
Okay, sige. So, to answer that question, in my previous press briefing before the DOJ, with the DOJ, I said na yung other local elective officials can still be investigated and prosecuted. Are they being investigated now? Are they respondents now? Were they subpoenaed now? Well, not yet. But the operative word is yet. That's not to say that they cannot be subpoenaed at a future time if the investigation or the findings by the prosecutor warrant such a subpoenaing, okay, such the action of serving subpoenas. With respect to Zaldico, we have to take note that Zaldico right now is missing. As far as we know, he is not in the Philippines. Ergo, he is not under the jurisdiction of the Philippine courts, the Philippine Prosecutorial Service. So it would be difficult for us to have him appear in front of us when even the state itself cannot acquire jurisdiction over him. Diba? So
what can we do now? I mean, is that a lost cause? If he does stay in a state where there's no extradition treaty with the Philippines, paano natin hahabulin yun? I mean, what is the recourse of the nation?
So definitely not a lost cause. Just to be clear, not a lost cause. We have other channels by which we could request for his return, or we could even like compel his return. So for example, we have sought the assistance of Interpol first in locating him. Pangalawa,
you have sought. It's already been done.
The DOJ, yes.
It's already
this is
rolling.
reported by the OIC Secretary of Justice Frederick Vida yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And so Interpol could assist us in doing so. There's also the possibility of, in the same way that requesting Interpol for assistance, exploring other diplomatic channels to be able to negotiate or discuss the return of Zaldico in the event that we do locate the state where he's located. Diba? So that's the first issue. Where is he? Right. Number two, are diplomatic channels available between the Philippines and that country to be able to discuss or negotiate a return, perhaps? And I like how you mentioned extradition treaty, because coercing or compelling another country, at least with legal force, to return a fugitive from justice located within their country, you would have to necessarily enforce the provisions of an extradition treaty, assuming there is one standing between that country and the Philippines. No,
if there is none,
then diplomatic channels tayo. We'll see. That's a possible avenue. Yun yung no? That's why I say na kahit na walang extradition treaty, may possibility pa. But that will depend on the relationship between those two states. And again, all that precedes the question of where is he exactly, right?
Is there enough evidence to subpoena also the House Speaker, former House Speaker, Martin Romualdez?
Well, that's not for us to decide right now. Again, all these cases kasi are kept very confidential. That's done by the panel of prosecutors. So, can they do so? Of course they can. Of course they can. Is there sufficient evidence to do so now? That's for them to determine and to decide whether a subpoenas should be.
And who is the determinant of that?
So the handling prosecutors.
Within the DOJ?
Within the DOJ, yes. So ang lahat kasi ng prosecutors sa mga taga-usig, they fall under the DOJ.
Ang gagawin nila, I mean, how is the assessment process gonna be? They're gonna assess the weight of evidence before they finally issue a subpoena? Is that the process here?
Thank you for asking. The subpoenas are issued to see if the evidence is sufficient to stand trial. So the subpoena issuing, just to make it clear, subpoena issuing is done in the process of investigation. Yan yung means mo by which you will gather the evidence, get the testimonies of these people.
So pag nabanggit yung pangalan, pwede na. I mean,
Pwede na.
to somehow subpoena them, to be able to answer to the allegations.
Pag hindi lang pag nabanggit, if their participation dun sa sinabit na complaint or affidavits in the filing of which, if their participation ditong elected officials, they're found to be material by the handling prosecutors. Ganito kasi yan eh. Pag file mo ng complaint with the DOJ or with any prosecution service, they'll make an initial evaluation of the evidence. Is it enough to proceed to preliminary investigation? That's the first step. Okay, so you could say that the criminal process, at least with respect to the DOJ, is two-tiered. First, evaluation. The second is preliminary investigation. So, dalawa pa yan. It is after evaluation that the prosecutors issue the subpoena for purposes of preliminary investigation, what we call PI.
Okay.
Tapos during PI, dun mo aalamin kung may sufficient evidence to stand trial before the courts. So, two-tiered siya within the prosecution service, and then it exits us upon finding na may proof enough to stand trial with the courts.
How do you interpret the not interpretation, more of how is the DOJ dealing with the testimony of Orly Gutesa with the false notarial signature? Is that rendered null and void already?
Okay, so the court in the Manila court that decided this case said that the affidavit by Orly Gutesa had a defective notarization. Now that's very factual. That was what was stated in the decision. That's what made the court decide that it was a falsified affidavit, no? As per the court's words. As to what the DOJ will do now, well, we understand that the court has referred back to us for investigation. Okay, because that's the DOJ's job to investigate. But the referral is not a directive. We have to note that the powers and competence of the court are very independent, at least right at this stage of investigation, to that of the prosecution. Because the courts do not investigate, at least with respect
You
to...
can challenge that decision by the Manila Regional Trial Court.
No, it's not for us to challenge. Okay, we will not be in any capacity to challenge it. Okay, if anyone wants to challenge that decision, it will be the accused in that case, Orly Gutesa. Siya ang may cause of action because he is the party affected, he is the aggrieved party. The DOJ's mandate is to solely investigate cases, right? And investigation, if I can just clarify, Gretchen, investigation is initiated by the filing of a complaint, which does not come from us, but from law enforcement, from private parties. So unless a complaint is filed by law enforcement saying na ito yung evidence
from NBI,
namin,
PNP,
that's correct.
or a private citizen.
Right. So dun mga galing yan, they file it with us. We see, again, and it goes through the whole process I just discussed.
Okay, so yung testimony ni Orly Gutesa, do you think that will be enough? I mean, even if that affidavit was declared falsified, how do you deal with it? I mean, is that still considered as part of the evaluation?
So with respect to any evaluation now, it's not. Categorically, it's not, only because it's never been used in any of the complaints filed before the DOJ.
Okay.
Does not preclude any the use of that affidavit? Hindi. Okay? Because this was discussed before, defective notarization only goes into the notarization. Diba? Kung gagamit ba na itong affidavit na ito mga gamit at
wala
the
pang
future
kaso,
time?
wala pang fina-file. Sinasabi mo na law enforcement.
Yes, yun. Kasi dun manggagaling yan eh.
Okay, siguro I mean, what can you say to the public's frustration over the speed of which these subpoenas have been filed? Naghahanap ang mga tao ng bakit wala pa rin nakakasuhan hanggang sa ngayon, wala pa rin nakukulong. Help us understand the whole process of investigation, the different stages, and why, I mean, sinasabi ng mga tao, I mean, kung yung maliliit na tao, ang bilis mapatawag, mapakulong, bakit itong malalaki ang tatagal ng proseso na yan?
Siguro, sagot yung Gretchen is, hindi natin pwede ikumpara yung mga maliliit na may maliliit na kaso who had done criminal acts as to the criminals here, compared to criminals here.
Yes.
Mabilis yung mga maliliit na tao for many reasons, but primarily because their cases or the criminal actions that they did are very straightforward. Simple lang yung kaso. 'Di ba? Siguro ang involved lang diyan isa, dalawa na parties, one aggrieved party. As opposed to this case here, that's very complex. Right? And as I discussed earlier, the criminal justice system, at least with respect to the prosecution, no, bago tayo mabot ng court, two-tiered na yan. May evaluation, may preliminary investigation. Lahat yan may timeline under the law. Because the law understands that we have to work within a certain period of time kasi marami talagang evidence to assess. So this is what the time that you're allowed to work with it, and have to rush it in case you need to do so because you have to comply with the timeline. Natatagalan lang because of all the evidence available, the materials available. You still have to study it and see if all of those taken together meets the standard of proof under the law. Ito yung analogy ko dyan. Let's say you have a school project. Pwedeng lahat ng materials mo na sa table na. But unless you can create it in an articulate manner, so much so that you can present it to your professor, na ito po yung project ko, this is my analysis, my recommendation. Unless you can do that, kahit lahat pa na materials na kalatag na dyan, it will not merit a grade. So that's why it takes some time.
So kailangan mo na intindihin
Yes,
gaano
yes.
kalalim itong problemang ito na hinaharap natin and what charges should be filed. But when it comes to the information involved, is the DOJ confident that it has enough? With the testimonies in the congressional hearings, also the data from the DPWH, the civil service organizations are also coming out with their own sets of data. Do you think, is the DOJ confident that it would meet the threshold of certainty of conviction, at least for the 5 subpoenaed individuals?
Okay. So, I'm glad you mentioned all those Senate hearings, testimony dito, what was said here and there. That begs the question though, how much of that is actually material or is admissible for purposes of preliminary investigation? Kasi kahit naman magsalita ako here or somewhere else, unless that's authenticated in a preliminary investigation proceeding where I appear, the respondent or whoever appears personally to say that what I said here can be corroborated, you can ask me or I
they
can
need to
testify
affirm it
on.
again.
Exactly, yun. That's the word we're looking for, affirmation.
They can change their testimony.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
And whatever they say in court, that's the one that will hold in the investigation.
Right. We hear the concept of hearsay, for instance, di ba?
So, for example, for the Discayas, do you have any plans to subpoena them anytime soon? Pangalawa, what if they change their testimony in court?
So as we have not received information yet as to whether, at least with respect to the 5 cases, or those pending with us, if there is a need to subpoena the Discayas. And not just the Discayas though, anyone for that matter, because we have not, okay, first, yung 5 cases na to are already being, for preliminary investigation na to. Okay, we have respondents there, we have a list of respondents specifically for those cases. Are the Discayas involved? We can't say. Will their statements be material for these 5 cases? I cannot preempt the panel of prosecutors handling it. Okay? In the same way that I cannot say that the Discayas' statements will not be material or will be material for the cases pending before the Ombudsman. Again, these investigative bodies have to do their...
where do these contractors fall under? Do they fall sa Ombudsman or dito sa DOJ?
Yun yung tricky question eh. Kasi, again, generally, pag salary grade 27 and below, and above,
pero hindi naman sila government
Ombudsman.
official.
May mga legal intricacies pa dyan na let's say may conspiracy among these people. Sabihin natin, 5 yan. Isa lang yung above salary grade 27. All that will fall under the Ombudsman pa rin. So it's very tricky legally.
But have you talked about that with the Office of the Ombudsman? Sino sa salon nun?
Hindi pa, no.
Okay.
Kasi syempre, yung kaso nila yan. Right? Yung finance sa kanila, let's say for example, by DPWH, that's within the realm. their jurisdiction. Unless they get in touch with us or they refer the cases to us for preliminary investigation, hindi namin makabasa yung laman yan.
Okay. What have the challenges been? I mean, doing this interagency coordination with the Office of the Ombudsman, but not just them. You're also working with the NBI, working with AFP, the PNP to corroborate itong mga flood control projects. And then there's the ICI.
Yeah.
Oh, so sila naman, ano naman ang sakop nila? And how do you imagine this ecosystem to work
Okay. So,
efficiently? Because there have been concerns about more red tape, lalo pag nagdagdag ka ng isa pang body, if they do give the ICI powers, baka madoble lang. And there are questions about the constitutionality of that. Kasi meron naman tayo mga provided by law, nandiyan na yung DOJ at yung Ombudsman.
So, in terms of DOJ, the Prosecution Service, the NPS, ang trabaho niya that distinguishes its job investigating from the ICI and the Ombudsman is, right now we have 3 charges, no? At least with respect, again, to the 5 cases. That's malversation, that's graft and corrupt practices under Republic Act 3019, and then you have, there's even the light felony of perjury. So those are 3. Now, the job of the prosecution in the DOJ is to see how the evidence serves as proof that overt acts were committed
In violation of
in
these.
violation of those 3 laws. Kasi bawat criminal, bawat crime or offense under the law, may elements in it. And you have to satisfy those elements using the evidence that you have. Parang, how do these all fit the puzzle of, can these acts constitute the crime of this? Right? So that's what we're looking for. Like, how can we make it fit na, okay, well, was there malversation? Was there graft and corrupt practices under the RA 3019? Kasi marami din yung listahan of how offenses are committed. Was there perjury? So, yun yung end goal eh. Like, the charge if the evidence fit the charge. And I'd like to make that distinction because yun ang trabaho ng DOJ compared to ICI, for example.
Okay.
The ICI does not determine na ito yung crime. How do we make the evidence fit the crime? Right? Because you're not prosecutors. You're not part of the criminal justice system.
But there's a bid to give them more powers. So, for example, Senate Bill 1215 seeks to establish, I think this is different, Independent People's Commission to investigate anomalies in government infrastructure projects. There's House Bill 4453 seeking to grant the ICI authority to cite persons in contempt. There's House Bill 5699 seeking to give it powers to issue whole departure orders, recover and sequester properties, file administrative, criminal, or civil cases against these individuals. What do you think? I mean, what is your view here? What kind of powers should the ICI have in order for it to work complementarily with the DOJ and the Office of the Ombudsman?
So the ICI, all those powers are pursuant to its main mandate of fact-finding. Fact-finding what happened in the whole flood control.
Data
gathering, tama. That's a nice way to put it. Data gathering, and then I like how you mentioned yung last role, yung filing of criminal and civil.
O, diba, role nyo yun?
Hindi, ang role namin is tanggapin yung final. Diba?
Okay.
So, iba yun eh. So, they fact find, and then it says there, I like how you read it, they file criminally, civilly. At least with respect to criminally, pwedeng i-file sa DOJ yun or sa Ombudsman, depending on
So in the
jurisdiction.
whole equation, they act like law enforcers. Kasi yung sabi mo, pwede mag-file yung law enforcement or private citizen or the ICI. Ganon lalabas.
In terms of investigation, that's correct. Siyempre, law enforcement, they enforce the law. ICI has no power
Or
to
does the
enforce.
PNP file with, no, it goes straight to the DOJ?
Yes. But the PNP can coordinate with them for purposes of filing.
So all of these powers, if given to them, will not conflict?
They will not, no. In fact, mas mapabilis. It will expedite, not expedite. It will help us investigate more thoroughly and further into the issue.
And even with the Office of the Ombudsman?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, yun yung complex web
Yes.
to sa flood control.
Well, in determining lang how do they all fit, tanong mo muna, first question, what is the mandate of each? What is the role of each? Because even though lahat yan are DOJ, Ombudsman, ICI, they're all doing their investigating, right? But then yung investigation na yun is pursuant to an objective, which is their mandate under the law. So you go into the mandate first.
Okay. How is the DOJ expecting to tackle the scale of this problem? Not just with Bulacan, but also across all flood control projects?
We're taking it step by step. So we start with the 5 that were referred back to us by the Ombudsman.
If we do it step by step, wouldn't that take more than a decade to pursue all of these?
No.
crimes?
That's why all 3 kasi are doing their part to investigate. There are cases filed with the Ombudsman being investigated by the Office of the Ombudsman currently.
Yeah, what other provinces are you looking at apart from Bulacan?
No, so I can only speak on behalf of DOJ, no? That's just the 5 cases, 5 projects in Bulacan.
Wala pa sa ngayon. Sa
Hindi.
Mindoro, sa iba pa
Wala pa kasi. Itong 5 lang hawak namin now eh.
For now.
For now,
Okay.
that's right.
Do you have information on the whereabouts of Orly Gutesa and
We
where
do
he
not.
is currently?
No. So locating kasi witnesses, locating these people, fugitives or people running away from the law is a law enforcement mandate. So right now we don't know. Have there been efforts to do so, to locate them? Yes, but that is something that the PNP or the law enforcement can speak better on in that regard. It's not within our province right now.
Okay, and how about the witness protection program? Have more citizen witnesses come forward to help with the case, the filing of the cases and the build-up? And how's the witness protection program going?
I've received information that there are some new applicants. As to who, I do not know yet. As to whether their testimony is material, then even more is it up in the air now. So we don't know. Kasi maraming nag-apply stating that they have information here, but you have to vet that out eh. Diba? Hindi naman po pwedeng lahat na lang na magsabi meron akong information regarding so and so can be is material, no? So we have to filter and thoroughly vet these applications first, state witness firsthand. Or if there are applications for being a covered witness under the program.
And how soon can charges be filed? At siguro ang tanong ng taong bayan, how fast can someone be put behind bars?
How fast is dependent upon many factors and not just within the institution of the DOJ. Putting someone behind bars entails necessarily a conviction before the court of law. Diba?
But magagawa ba yan before the term of the president ends?
Well, the goal is to be able to conclude preliminary investigation before the year ends. That's where our job as investigators in the criminal justice system stops. Diba? And then
And to be able to file charges by
before the
December.
courts, right? And then upon filing with the courts, it will then proceed to trial, which is an entirely new and meticulous process in itself that's separate from us. Sa huwes na yan, sa hukuman na yan. So what we can promise though, or what we can say is that we're doing our part to meet the period prescribed under the law for preliminary investigation.
Which is?
Which is 60 days. Okay, which is 60 days in fact generally, no? But then as per OIC Secretary of Justice Vida, November 10 is the date where we intend to initiate preliminary investigation.
Does the DOJ need more resources to be able to pursue all of these flood control cases?
Right now, we're working with the best that we have at our disposal. As to whether we need more, it's not, information hasn't been clear on that, but we're able to work with what we have now.
Okay. We expect results as soon as possible because, as they say, justice delayed is justice denied. Sana hindi makalimutan ng Pilipino ito. Okay, maraming salamat for answering our questions and helping us understand the matrix
sana.
of our justice system. Medyo mas malinaw na. We have DOJ spokesperson Attorney Polo Martinez.
Thank you.